Hello, Bravo bosses. This is the Bravo Investigator podcast. I'm your host, Dana, and today we are talking about the Love is Blind reunion for season 10. And joining me today is Madison Maidenberg, who you might remember from the Denver season 9. So, Madison and I have the funnest time talking all things Love is Blind Ohio, from the Chris of it all, to the Alex of it all, to the Devontae of it all. And Madison just has the best takes because she was actually there in the audience at the reunion. So, I hope you guys enjoy my episode with Madison. You can also watch this episode on YouTube. Don't forget to also follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at The Bravo Investigator, and subscribe to the Patreon at patreon.com/The Bravo Investigator Podcast. And I love you, BBs. I will see you next time. Madison Maidenberg, welcome to the Bravo Investigator Podcast.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here. We just had the Love is Blind season 10 reunion. This must have been very nostalgic for you in some sort of way, but I was like I have to have Madison on the pod. I have to know what her thoughts were because I saw you do like an Instagram story of you and Katie going to the reunion to like kind of beat Chris's ass. So I was like, okay, I have to ask Madison if she can come on the pod and tell me what happened. So thank you so much for being here. This is such a pleasure. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, it's so good to be here. We had so much fun. I mean, being at the reunion was definitely nostalgic, a little traumatizing,
Yeah.
but I'm glad it wasn't me on stage this time.
Yeah, for sure. So was like everyone there? Anyone who's ever been on Love is Blind was there?
Pretty much, yeah. It was so cool. We actually got an email, gosh, maybe like a month and a half ago, just out of the blue, and it was like, "Hey, we'd love to have, alum for our season 10, kind of a momentous, season." So yeah, it was literally just whoever could come from every past season was there.
That's so cool. Did you meet anyone that like in the Love is Blind universe that you've always wanted to meet that you've never had the chance to?
My gosh, like all of the major icons. I mean, obviously Chelsea and
The
Jimmy,
OGs.
the OGs, yes, everybody called me and Joe the Jimmy and Chelsea 2.0. So
Really?
it was, yeah, which was so interesting to me. I didn't totally understand the connection, but I'm honored because Chelsea is so amazing, iconic. So it was great to meet them. Gosh, I got to meet Raven. I got to meet Micah, Jess Vestel. There was like
Hmm.
so many people, and it was crazy because we're in this like almost like airport type hotel and we're all just congregating around this like tiny bar and it's just like a room full of what I consider to be like celebrities, and then they're coming up to me and they're like, "Oh my God, Madison." I'm like, "You know my stuff?" Like it was so cool, so
You know,
humbling.
I know. But
Yeah,
it's
I'm like,
always
"Oh."
been like that with The Bachelor, right? And they continue it on with Bachelor in Paradise. And they actually, even before Bachelor in Paradise, like way back in the day, they used to do these Bachelor cruises. And that's where a lot of Bachelor alum would end up like hooking up and stuff, right? So it's funny that Netflix does like something, at least to kind of keep you guys like in a family, right? Because you guys really are the only people on earth who have been through an experience like this. So it's nice to all be in a room together, I guess.
It is. It really is. I mean, it's honestly such a club, in a really cool way. Like, I didn't really have expectations of, was it going to be clicky or, I didn't even consider that, but it wasn't like that at all. Like, it was truly just everybody was so excited to meet everybody. We all got to kind of like share stories. How was your producer? What was your, biggest takeaway? I mean, it was truly just so special because, yeah, to your point, it's like we're the only people that like understand this crazy experiment and have actually gone through it. And it was really cool to meet, not only the people that got engaged, but like other pod squad as well.
Yeah, for sure. What did you think about them making the couples sit together, though? I feel like that was a first. And when I say couples, I mean like the people who originally came in as couples, because it seemed like everyone on stage was sitting really tight together, and it felt like everyone was really tense, which was normal if you were sitting right next to your ex, you know?
That
That
was
was a bit
really
odd
interesting.
to me,
It was odd to me too. I couldn't imagine if they had sat me next to Joe. Like,
right?
Honestly, I don't blame Amber. It's like the space between her and Jordan just kept getting bigger and bigger. Like you could tell, he's squishing himself. I mean, I truly think that they both, all the couples really, I commend them because that was definitely difficult. And also, I mean, I'm so glad this wasn't my reunion. I could not imagine being in a room with 150 alum because it's like, you look in the crowd and you know everybody out there. So not only
Yeah.
are you having to like be vulnerable and like share your story, but then you're looking at people that you know their story and you're like, oh God,
Oh
I
my gosh,
couldn't.
I didn't even think about that. That's so true. Well, at least they didn't have like a basketball game this time and all that stuff. It was inside.
Yeah,
I think they
yes.
definitely like amped it up a bit. And I was actually really impressed with Nick this time. Like, you don't have to say anything negative. I know he's sort of your boss, but like there's been some criticism about him on the internet and over the years, not just him, Vanessa as well as the host of this show and maybe not being hard enough on people. But I was actually really, really impressed with how much Nick put certain people in their places, especially Chris, in my
I agree.
opinion.
No, I definitely agree. It was really interesting to see him kind of be like, really? Like, that's all you want to say? I mean, they really are such warm-hearted people and they really like invest and care about us as people. And so it's really cool to see that kind of come through on screen and
Mm.
especially through this reunion.
Yeah. I saw one post that said like, oh, we don't want to be bullying Chris or be too hard on him, but I'm like, no. But anyways, we'll get to that in a sec. But something else new that they did, they had AD and Gigi kind of walk around and ask past cast members questions in the audience. Do you think that that was kind of like a nice touch? Did you like that? And I thought that he did pretty well. They have very good like hosting vibes, I feel like.
They do. I mean, obviously AD has an awesome podcast that I had went on and she's so warm and just inviting. And then, Gigi and Blake, like they're just
So
Denver people too,
cute.
and they're so cool, so
Wait, they're
iconic.
in Denver?
Yeah, they're in Denver.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
no way. I didn't know that. Oh, that's
Yeah.
so, is that random? Was that
It
always?
it is kind of random, yes, because I think, Gigi was on season one, which was Atlanta,
Right,
and Blake is originally from Colorado, but obviously they're from different universes, Bachelor and Love
right.
is Blind. So I think that they had come back here because Blake's originally from here. So yeah, it was really cool. I loved
Okay.
going around and talk to, OG cast members because it's like I think people like to keep up with us, even not just through social media. So I really love that.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, let's talk about the couples or the people there was.
Yes.
I guess let's talk about like Vic and Christine first because they're like the golden couple. They're obviously still together, which is amazing. What did you think about like the chef that they basically got this season?
It's funny. I actually went up to them during a break in the reunion and I was like, I just want you to know, like, I wanted to see more of you guys. Like, I think it's just, they are healthy, they are committed, like, they are just
How
a
dare they?
true, yeah, like, right, exactly. Like, they're a good couple. And I think I heard something through the grapevine that it was like, because they're just such a healthy couple, like, they wouldn't make great TV, It's like,
Well, they
there's
said it about
not.
themselves too, right? She was like, "Oh, I'm way too boring." My friend said that too. I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And we are as an audience sometimes so critical like that. Like, you're too boring for TV, but like we do need those beautiful couples or else why are we doing this show?
I know, and I really wanted to see more of them. I mean, I'm glad that they had a diary cam when they were in Malibu, but I'm like, I really wanted to see more of their behind the scenes because I think like truly like they are a prime example of what Love is Blind was meant for and what Love is Blind is supposed to be. And I think that they really kind of brought the heart back to the show in that way.
You're so right. Like, they really are just so beautiful. Um, what do you think about like the TurboTax? I mean, it's interesting to sort of bring in like the product placement. It took me a while to like understand what they were being offered. I'm like, are they being offered someone to do their taxes? I'm like, okay, yeah, in addition to a trip. So that's cool. I mean, do you think that that was enough? I mean, they seem so appreciative. Like they're so the kind of couple that are just seem like they'd appreciate anything, even if it was like $1.
I know. I mean, truly, they are just so sweet. It was funny. I totally forgot that they did that until you said that. The product placement. I'm like, hey,
We have a
honestly, my
makeup for this.
they're about to be weird as hell this year, so I envy them.
It's so funny. Oh, and I really love the part about how he helped to like reconnect her with her estranged father. I don't know what your relationship is like with your parents. Like I'm estranged from my mom and we haven't spoken in a year. And I'm not sure if we ever will. I don't remember exactly what Christine's situation was, but I thought that that was really very interesting that they had that connection, right? They both had this estrangement from their father, and, he really felt so much peace from being able to rectify that and encourage her to do so. And then, just kind of he gave her something so special, right? So I just thought that was just so beautiful. They're so
I
perfect.
know. Such a good partnership. And that's what a partnership should be, right? It's like somebody that supports you to do the hard things and to find closure and be there even if you don't, right? And I think
Yeah.
that they really are a great example of how to ground each other. And I just, yeah, so, so beautiful on a very personal level.
It's so good to see, and I'm sure you can relate as like a girly who dates, right? Like there's so few people like that. Like it should be like the basic, right? Like like the basic standard that someone supports you and uplifts you and is there for you. We shouldn't be like that impressed, but we are because of, men.
Yeah, well, and especially, because it is a reality TV show, right? Like you don't know what mix of people you're getting. And I think this season really showed that, right? From the Chris's to the Vicks of the reality world. It's like really interesting to see the whole spectrum.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, let's talk about Amber and Jordan, who divorced after 4 months. I had sort of heard through the grapevine about this. I tried to really like stay out of any of like the gossip because I really Love is Blind is honestly my favorite show. And even if it not because I feel like it's like the realest thing ever. I don't know. I just think it's super entertaining. But I was really disappointed by this one. And there's like a lot of people talking about whether single parents should really even do this show because it's like it's such an expedited thing with the marriage at the end, right? Or going up to that part. I'm curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a parent, so I think it's really hard for me to adequately speak to that. I think you know, it is hard, right? Because it's not just you. And I think that, Jess did a great job. I think honestly, Amber did a great job too of really expressing that of it's not just me in this. But from a child's standpoint, I have nieces and imagining just how attached they get to when I even say that I'm dating somebody.
Right.
It's a completely different ball game for them. And so I think that it's definitely something that has to be handled with care, not only from the parent, but from the partner as well, right? And I think that dating in general as a single parent is extremely difficult to navigate. My mom was a single mom, my dad was a
Oh yeah.
single dad, divorce. So I personally watched that too, right? I can understand just from my own experience, and it's very hard to understand the balance. And now being an adult and talking to my mom about how she navigated that, I mean, there's no guidebook, right? Like
Yeah.
there's no guidebook on life in general, and there's sure as hell not a guidebook on how to navigate Love is Blind with a child. So, I really give them their flowers in the sense of I think that they do the best they can with what they can.
Yeah. Ugh. He was so nervous on the wedding day, right? And she seemed like really tense. And like I had heard that they had had like the conversation before that they weren't going to say yes, right? She didn't think he was ready. He said yes. I don't know. Like I just wish they both hadn't have. Like I just thought it
Mhm.
was interesting that this season so many couples went to the altar, one so unsure or so sure of a no.
Yeah.
Vanessa did say something about like encouraging the couples to go to the altar. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's like a production thing, like kind of like saying like we'd rather not have the sit down on the couch. Is that like something that you experienced or like heard about?
Yeah. I mean, they really are intentional about it being an experiment, right? They're intentional about do the experiment in its entirety because there is a chance that you get to the altar and you say yes and it ends up being something really beautiful. So whether we call it production or experiment, I mean, it really is, they have a very intentional way of going about it.
Yeah.
So it's not that you're pushed by any means to get to the altar, but they really do encourage that. At the same time, I think what I experienced a little bit more was don't have those conversations off camera, like really be authentic on camera, be authentic in the moment. So it is interesting to me that it seemed like there were so many conversations of like, we're gonna say no because, well, then why go to the altar? I mean, I guess in
Yeah.
my mind, I want when I walk down the aisle to be the first and last time. Like even trying on wedding dresses feels tainted to me now because that was, I don't want to say taken from me, but like it was part of the experiment. And like if I knew that I was going to say no, I wouldn't have been trying on a dress, because just it's
Right.
exciting, you know?
Yeah, 100%. No, I totally get that. So we we hear like two very different things. We hear from him that she's sort of like projecting her issues from exes onto him. She's saying, you don't live with me, right? You are in Columbus 5 to 6 days a week. I actually did just find out, I don't know if he said this on the reunion, but I just found this out now, just listening to a podcast, that he works from home. So, in my opinion, there was no need for him to get up at 5 and drive back or even drive back at night. Sir, why couldn't I came up with a great schedule? Why don't you live with her Monday to Friday? Work
Yeah.
work there, hang out at night, go to Columbus on the weekends and party. I still don't even feel like you need to do that because I feel like, again, like when somebody has a kid, you really need to understand what your life is going to be like now. Your life isn't about like partying on a Tuesday and going into a bar. Like you're going to do that maybe once a month or maybe once every couple of months. Like that to me just showed he didn't have an understanding of what everyday life was going to look like at all.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's a good point. I didn't know that he worked from home, so that is interesting to me. Now, as somebody
Mm,
that does work from home and actively dating, I mean, I when I've been in a serious relationship since the show, like I would stay with my person, yeah, 4 or 5 days a week, and they
yeah,
didn't have a job, right?
it's called a
Um,
laptop.
yeah, literally, I'm like I can work wherever my computer is. To
Right.
your point though, I think it's really hard to expect anybody to know what they're getting into if they don't have children, right? And that's just playing devil's advocate a little bit because
Yeah.
it's like I think from his standpoint, like that's a really hard space to navigate. And even when I was in the pods, like I was dating Jordan until gosh, like day 5 or 6, and it
Oh,
got
I
to a
didn't know
point,
that.
yeah, like, and I really truly was like, I can't be a step parent, and I
Hmm.
only had the point of reference because of my parents, right? Like
Yeah.
seeing my sister have my dad as a stepdad, and whatever. So I think that it's impossible to know what you're really getting yourself into if you've
Yeah.
never had a child.
Plus, him going in with the mindset of like, that's a deal breaker for me, he even more so, I feel like, wouldn't have even put the concept of what day to day life like, and I blame her for that too, right? Like I think it's also her responsibility to give him a sense. And I hated that she didn't introduce her child until the night before. But then there, like you said, there's no rule book. When would do you? It's whenever you feel comfortable, obviously. And that's why I hate that there's like a marriage at the end of this because I realize that's the name of the game, but can we change the end of the game? Like, is it this important?
No.
Because I just don't know, like maybe they could have worked out if they had a chance to really like slowly integrate him in a different way. But like, I don't know. The one thing that really bugged me though is like it seemed like when she was sort of coming at him, he came back at her with this story about this wedding where he's the best man. He invites her. She misses the whole ceremony, shows up like pissed drunk, falls asleep, tries to like drive drunk, all of this stuff. This is a single mom. Like, obviously, she has a good relationship with her child's father because it seems like they've got good co-parenting going on. But like, what if one day they don't? You just said you basically implied on national television that she's an alcoholic. And that's just like a really dangerous thing to do to a single mom. So I didn't love that.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good point. I mean, I definitely agree, and gosh, it's hard because if that was his experience, then that absolutely contributes to his actions, right? But yes, you do have to unfortunately tiptoe around certain things because that's the reality of reality TV. It's
Yeah.
like you really can't unless you want to absolutely just ruin not only your reputation but other people's reputation. You have to be a little bit more tactful, and especially with, a mom. I mean, I think that is something that needed to be taken into account for sure.
Yeah. I mean, she admitted to having anger problems and like you definitely like see it. It's almost like she almost like got in a fight with herself mid-sentence and then like took
I
off
know. I know
with
it
what
was
she was saying.
I have to say it was kind of funny like sitting there watching it because it was like, we're just hearing everybody talk and I'm watching her talk and then I turned to talk to KB and I look up and Amber's storming off and I was like, "Wait, what happened?" Because it didn't
It
seem
was
like
so
there was.
quick.
Yeah, but I understand. It's like this is an extremely heated situation. It's a pressure cooker, and it's like
Yeah.
you've had long to wait for the reunion. And so she's had this boiling up underneath. She's also, like she said, having to watch her daughter go through essentially a breakup as well, right? I
Oh my
mean,
God.
that's
That whole
hard.
thing where she's like, "Oh, we came up with like this memory box to see if he'd come back." Oh my God, right? And it just made me think of like, I don't think we ever knew, but it made me wonder about the aftermath with Jordan and his son Luca and what that conversation looked like, right? Because he apparently did say, like, she's gonna be your stepmom and she's gonna be in our lives consistently and all of these things are gonna happen, right? And it's like, yeah, there's a very serious ramifications of when this doesn't work out, right? And it's just like that just absolutely breaks my heart because I'm not 100% positive on this, but I do believe she said that she was in a 3-year relationship before and didn't introduce her daughter, I think.
Oh, that's
So I think
right.
she's very, very careful about that, right? Like obviously again, she had to, but like ugh, it just sucks to bring someone into your kid's life and then have them leave.
I know it's
And
really
the whole
sad.
like etiquette thing where he was like, "Oh, I don't know the etiquette."
I know. I know. It's yeah, it's so hard. I mean, it's like, speaking from personal experience, like my dad got engaged and she was in our lives. I mean, she was our next door neighbor. Like she moved next door to be close and they were planning a wedding and blah 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 and then their engagement fell through and she pretty much cut everything off. Like with her with him, with me. And as I became an adult, I remember I like wrote a letter to her and I was like, it's a core memory, right? It's a core person in your life and when you're in these developmental phases, you really take in whoever your parent brings to you. And so I think that Amber's very smart in being selective of who to introduce. And unfortunately, Love Is Blind does not lend itself to a slow pace or
Yeah.
patience. No, it just doesn't. But yeah, yeah, it's hard.
She should have written you a letter,
I
you know?
know. And that's the thing. I think she had reached out to my mom and was like, I just can't personally be involved, like at all. Like, whatever happened between her and my dad, like she was like, I just couldn't be involved. And then I ran into her years later after my dad had passed away, like in the mall. It was the weirdest thing. And I was like, hi, like, how are you? And it was just it's a weird, I don't know. It's a really strange thing because I still have love for her and I still thought of her as like my stepmom. And
Hmm.
then to feel like she didn't care. And I think that's also what Amber is speaking to is like, how do I talk to my daughter about this? Because she loved you,
Yeah.
she welcomed you with open arms. And so I can understand just on a personal level what that feels like as a child to then have that go away.
Yeah. Well, were you shocked to hear that like this didn't work out after, I guess, what we saw with them this season? Like, were you expecting this?
I don't know, it's they're an interesting dynamic to me. I really didn't have like,
It's
Vic and
quirky in a way.
Christine, no, right? Yeah, I couldn't really get a full grasp on like what their relationship was. And you definitely don't know behind the scenes. And so it's like, I don't know. I think I was hopeful, I was excited that they had said they were gonna say no, but then they both said yes. And it was kind of like, oh my God, wait, like this is gonna work, and then obviously it didn't. But
I think it's so fascinating how many of these couples said they had those prior conversations and then didn't stick to their word. So what was the point of having the conversation?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, it's like, I will say this, like they encourage you a lot in production where they're like, you're not going to know until you're at the altar. They say that to you over and over and over. And so you're kind of
Doesn't
like,
make any sense, but okay.
I mean,
You
I
know?
guess logically it doesn't, but like when you're in it, it makes
Yeah.
sense to your heart. Like at least for me it did. Because I was like, I'd have days that I'd be like, I'm saying no, like I don't want to do this. But then I'd be like, well, I want to ride the wave. I want to do the experiment the right way and really feel it out, and I'll
Okay.
know when I'm at the altar. And so I think that's probably where that's coming from.
Yeah.
But
Or like
it's
the whole, like if you're putting on the dress and you're filled with dread, like as you're
right.
starting to do the process, right? Like as you're getting ready, as you're walking down, I think you'll start to
Yeah.
feel different. And are they good feelings or bad feelings? And that probably
Right.
helps guide your decision, right? I think
Absolutely.
that kind of
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
let's talk
Yeah.
Bree and Connor, who I honestly was so shocked we're still together. Like I really was. Were you, or had you heard anything about this before?
I hadn't heard anything. No, I was definitely very surprised. I mean, they're really cute. Like in person, they are so sweet together, adorable couple. I just did not see that coming, but I also love it. I think it's a testament to like there's not a right and wrong way to do Love is Blind. It's like sure, like sometimes in production they'll kind of tell you like you either are together at the end, married or not. They even
Well, the
say like on
officiant
the show
says that. Have you noticed that? The officiant actually says, or like either you'll say yes today or part ways forever. And
or
it's like,
say
why?
goodbye forever.
Why?
Yeah. Yes. Well, and Nick and Vanessa say that too in their like intros and stuff, like, or will you choose to walk away forever? And so I think that there's
Why?
always kind of that in your mind. I don't know. Like
Like,
I
why can't
love
you
that.
date after?
I don't know. I love that
It's
Brie and Connor were
forbidden.
like, "Yeah, okay, we're gonna do this our way, and it
Yeah.
seems to be working for them.
I I feel like I heard somewhere that like I don't think there are any couples who have not gotten married but said that they would date after that have worked out. So, I mean, these guys are going strong, like 8 months or something like that, or a year. So that's amazing. I never really, I never really talk about like or really believe in people getting true bad edits because you said what you said. But this girl got a bad edit because I listened to her on, I wasn't going to talk about the podcast, but like I did listen to a few interviews. She was on Caitlin Bristow's podcast Off the Vine yesterday. And like, well, first of all, they didn't even break up, right? So like we got such a confusing ending to that. We're like, so are they, aren't they? And yeah, they've been together this whole time. And there was those little moments that the show picked up on, but like, yeah, they've been like hanging out with family and doing all of these things and like living next door is a little strange, but like, if you just listen to the way that she talks about him, she is so into him. And like, it's just not the way they portrayed it at all, right? Like, it was definitely a very specific edit, it
Right.
seemed,
Yeah.
right? Not, I don't mean like in this crazy, like, negative way, but like, it
No,
just definitely
no.
was skewed a certain way, like, that she did not like this guy.
Yeah, I mean that's showbiz, baby, right? Like truly, I get
They were
it.
so together.
Yeah, it's
Like,
funny because it's
because
like,
if they had
I
done some
don't,
like pickup scenes, wouldn't that have been nice for them to show like,
yeah.
or even give them like a self camera, right? Like we've been missing the last 8 months of them actually being together. The show ended with us going, oh, I guess they broke up. They didn't break up.
Right, they've been together this whole time. I
Yeah,
know, I totally get that. It's like, even when I think about my edit, it's like I think that they maybe typecast a little bit where it's like they kind of wanted me to be the hopeless romantic that would just
yeah, they
wanted
definitely
to be
do that.
loved, and
Hmm.
I would do anything for love. And it's like that really wasn't quite what was happening. So, you see these kind of blips in time that comprise a whole moment, but it's not the actual like situation.
Yeah,
I would say though, editing does a very good job of capturing the essence of people and the essence of a relationship. And they're very good at like even like some of my arguments, right? Where I'm like, okay, that's not totally what happened, but you get a good general sense. So
yeah.
I think maybe like production was showing them as the general sense that they got during filming, because I mean, how are they supposed to have a diary cam for like 8 months, right?
No, I guess but they did make it seem like they had broken up, so it would have been good to know that that didn't
I
happen, I
agree.
guess. What did you think about the way she was in the pod squad with regards to Chris and like, she does apologize if it like came off that she was like kind of buying into what he was saying. But what was the vibe that you got? And do you feel like her apology was genuine?
I mean, I think that this is a really, really hard thing to do. Like, you're navigating an engagement to somebody that you really don't totally know in the
Yeah.
physical world, right? And then you're also navigating a pod squad of people that have very dynamic personalities, very different ideas, beliefs, ways of acting. And so I think that it's really hard to ride the line of being respectful and also staying true to yourself, right? And so I think that she did the best that she could in the moment. Um, it's an almost impossible situation.
You know what? Now that you say that, I mean, it is such a unique situation though at the same time because he was just being all kinds of crazy. I literally, as you were just talking, put myself in that situation for a second. I'm like, what the fuck would I say? I don't know, right? Like he's literally saying insane things. Like we could be fuck friends, right? Like he's saying crazy things. So like,
Right.
how are you supposed to respond to this person, right? Like, and how do
It's a
you get
camera.
away? And the cameras are still watching, and you're like,
Yeah,
like, what are
right.
you supposed to do?
I mean, it's almost impossible, like honestly, because it's like you have to think about, okay, like how do I stay true? How am I respectful to my partner? How do I handle this bizarre situation? And
Yeah,
also, I was always thinking like I'm tied to all of these people forever. Like no matter what, it will always be season 9 Denver. It will always be
yeah.
season 2 Columbus. So there will always be those ties. And so it's really hard when you think about it in that grand scheme of like can I just burn this down? I mean, Chris did, right? But like he's paying for that heavily, right?
Yeah.
So it's a really, really hard thing to navigate.
Yeah, but Connor was so like respectful and nice and like this guy just oh, I like him. I like him a lot. And like, when Brie talked in the season and or she's talked about it a lot where she's like she wasn't the best version of herself. I thought
Mhm.
she meant like I've been there, I don't know if you have, where you're dating someone where there isn't really that much wrong with them. They're nice, they're good, but you just don't feel it and you treat them like shit. Just because, you're just like not, you kind of already have the egg, you're just like not feeling it for him. And that's what I thought she was doing. And that's why I thought she wasn't showing up as her best self because she was like being a bitch. And so I feel like once you're in that place, you're just never going to get there with someone. But watching them together, I was like, oh my God, no, like she did really
No.
just need the time, right? Like that was just so unexpected, I feel like.
Was. I mean, that's
Yeah,
impressive because yeah, to your point, I've definitely been in that situation where it's like you kind of already have the ick. You're kind of like, okay, like you're nice enough. Like, you you're giving me something. I'm feeling fulfilled in some ways, but you're also irritating the hell out of me. And I thought that that was kind of where she was as well. But yeah, I think she really just needed the time and space away from the cameras to really be with him. I mean, I'm thoroughly impressed by them, and they're very, very sweet in person too.
I know it's cute. And like she did talk a bit about like the female dynamic on Caitlin Bristow's podcast, just sort of like, you know, she didn't essentially say this. Well, she essentially said, like, I didn't come there to make friends, right? And so if I did kind of the wrong thing in terms of showing up for people, like, I'm also sort of in my head about like my own relationship and all these other things. So I think that's fair to keep in mind.
Mhm.
We're all sort of doing our own thing while also trying to be friends with these people, but there's a limit, right? Like, to what, how much time you have to commit to defending your friends, I guess.
Absolutely. Well, and also, it's like not everybody's gonna be friends. Like just because we were on the same season does not mean that we were friends, right? So
100%.
I totally understand where she's coming from.
Yeah. All right, let's talk Chris and Jess because wow. What do you think he was thinking coming in? Like, do you think he talked to like a publicist? Like, what do you think he was told to do?
It's funny to say that. We were shocked that he even showed up. Like
Really, a lot of
I
people
was
said, why would he show up?
I was shocked he was there. Well, my thinking is like if you're gonna show up after everything that's been said and done, you better have a strong stance and you better say some shit. And it was
Yeah,
like I don't know if that he just was like shitting his pants and got nervous and like couldn't talk or what, but it was like, dude, like if you're gonna go, like go and make a statement, say something that is impactful, you know?
yeah. He was
Yeah.
just like so silent. What do you think of his look? He had like a little bit longer hair, kind of greased back, all
Hiding,
black.
I think. Yeah, I think he's in hiding, honestly. I mean, like, shit. Like, I got hate online and I can't imagine what he's getting. Like, I
Yeah, we've had our fun definitely on the internet about Chris for sure.
And here's the thing, you know what? I don't stand by anything that he said or did, but on a
Right.
human level, knowing the level of scrutiny that you get just already being on a show like this, much less, I mean, his actions definitely warrant a pretty intense reaction,
Yeah.
but like I feel for him a little bit. I truly hope that he's okay because like this is the kind of stuff that can make people go down a really dark path.
No, it's true. And we definitely, as a fandom, can sometimes go too far, and we spend so much time as people trying to like, or at least as women trying to educate other people to like not talk about other people's bodies. And then we went right for his height. We went right for all of that stuff, right? And like, you're a little leprechaun and all the things people call him.
Right.
But you know what? It was
I
in
mean,
the
I
defense
told
of
him
our
Taylor
girl,
Elf,
right?
so
Yeah. I mean, so Jess, I mean, she made a really interesting point about how she felt like it wasn't really about her body. She felt like it was more about like she said something like people who have deep insecurity sometimes will show it in other ways. And she felt like, he was deeply insecure about like his financial situation. He said that that's not true. I don't know. That's been a theory that's been out there. What do you think this really was for him?
you know, I think, just from my experience, that Jess is beautiful. She is successful. She is emotionally intelligent. She is kind. She is the whole package. And often men have a hard time, not all, but some men have a very hard time feeling like they are equal or can match that. And so, from my perspective, I think that he felt like he needed to knock her down in some kind of way to elevate himself for whatever, to her point, insecurity he has,
Yeah.
and it's sad, it's hard when that happens. I mean, she is such a shining light, and I think a lot of times people like Chris want to suck that light and have a little bit for themselves. And unfortunately, if he would have just held the spotlight for her, she would have given that to him tenfold,
I
and
know.
it makes me sad. I do think that he was operating from some insecurity. I don't know if it's financial. I don't know if it's just on a personality level, but I think that he definitely felt the need to try to knock her down to elevate himself.
And just the whole way that he flipped and how everybody was just like, whoa, that was not the guy we knew. Like, I
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever seen that happen before? Like, has there ever been like a member of like any of these casts where everybody is just like, whoa, that person is 100% different than who we thought they were?
I
Like in such
mean,
a cohesive way. Like nobody
I
speaks to him,
know.
I feel like.
Like it was a full 180, like
Yeah.
truly a full 180. I mean, to the point that, some of the other cast members, the male cast members, had said to me, like, we think he might have like a personality disorder or something because it's very strange how it's just like Jekyll and Hyde.
So bizarre. And like, yeah, I just feel like someone told him just like don't say anything, say less. But like I'm just
Mhm.
so proud of her for when she talked about how far she's come and how if this were 3 years ago it would have been so different because like, oh my God, I feel like we have all been there, if not are currently there, where something like that would have broken us, killed us. And the fact
Yeah.
that there were women on that stage, including Ashley, who was just like, okay, you don't think I'm attractive. I'm able to move on and get over that. Like that is strength and it takes so much work. And I was just, I don't know, I was impressed with the strength of the women this season. That's like amazing that she was able to be
I was
like, ew, look at you.
I know. I really was impressed too. I mean, you remember from my season, Joe
Yeah,
saying physique, and unfortunately for me, that did cause an eating disorder, and like
right.
it did really mess up my mental. And so I'm very, very proud of her that she wasn't rattled by that. It's like I wish that I would have been in a stronger place to handle a comment like that.
But you've
Um,
come through your eating disorder and that's amazing and you worked hard on yourself. So there is always that. There's nothing wrong with going through something in your life and working hard and making it through that. So I don't want you to take that away from you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, I'm really proud of, just how strong the women this season are and how they really lay down the law, and it's impressive. And I think that they are setting a great example for future people on reality TV.
I love that. Do I have anything else to say about Kristen Just? Oh, right. So she's dating somebody else from the Pod Squad, which is amazing. I had no idea. Like I said, I did a really good job of like staying off the internet about this, but like, was that surprising to you? Did you know that they were
I
dating?
was shocked. I had no idea. And his name is Harmel, right?
Harmel, and he's another doctor, right? So I guess they had some time together in the pods that we didn't really see. I think he might have been in like episode one. I think he might have been in like that first sort of like
Very
section where people
briefly.
talk to like Nick and stuff like that. But no, this man, he declared his love for her. And the, what did you say? 150 people were in this room or whatever.
Yes.
He declared his love for her, her body, her drive, everything about her. And it's like, I'm sorry, you exist. Men like this exist.
Oh my gosh, his
Ugh,
speech has been replaying in my mind. Like when he said, "You deserve all the flowers and I'm gonna give them to you." Like, oh, I'm gonna like tear up, like sitting in the audience and just seeing her light up and hearing the way that he spoke about her. It's like that is what she deserved, and that is what every woman deserves is a man like
yeah.
that. I mean,
Oh my God.
so beautiful. It was like
And
it
I'm
was
so
very
glad he did that in front of Chris too. It's
I
great.
know. I mean, in front of all of us, and he just the declaration of love. I was like, is he about to go propose right now? Like, it was that beautiful.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the only thing that would
Um,
have made it even better.
no, I know. I wish, yeah. Or Brie had proposed because there was that moment where she's like, "Oh, should I propose right now?" I was just like, it was just so nice to see, especially when what was that thing that she said that like he loves all of her and she loves all of him. So I just thought that was beautiful. And it's just like it's you may not have found love in the pods, but if you found love like pod adjacent, whatever, right? Like
Totally.
or
Totally.
like as long as you've ended up finding it in this universe, or even like when we talked about Giannina and Blake, they met
Yeah.
on like another reality show because they were both on reality shows, right? So you just never know what an opportunity will bring you, and it might not be the person you ended up marrying or engaged to, but it might have been somebody else that's kind of adjacent. So it's so
I know.
awesome.
It's so cool. It's so cool.
Okay, Emma and Mike, this was confusing for me because as they started to explain their story, it sort of seemed like a misunderstanding. So he, which I found odd, was taken aback. So they had both agreed to say no because she wasn't ready for kids yet. And then she ends up saying yes. And so he was so put off by that, like it seemed like in an angry way, that he was like, all right, well, I'm saying no. She's saying that her yes meant yes, I'm ready for kids, which was not clear to me because when he was up at the altar, he said, I need to know, like, I need you to say it kind of thing, right? Like, I need to know that you want to have kids. And then she didn't say that. Like, I didn't pick up
Right.
on that either. But if that's what she was saying, and this is the first time they're figuring this out, like, why? I'm just like, wait, what? These two did not like really speak after. This seems like a misunderstanding.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I I will say I had the most conversation with Emma and Mike,
Mhm.
because Emma and I had the same producer. So her and I actually talked before the show came out, just I was kind of giving her advice about, how to handle this crazy world. And, I think that in their case, there was definitely a lot of editing there. I think I don't truly believe that their whole relationship was that centered around children, especially after talking to Mike and his new girlfriend and Emma. I mean, Mike was like, yeah, like I want kids, but that wasn't even like our whole relationship. Like that's just
But
what
we know
they
nothing else about either of them. Like, we're like,
I
is
don't
Mike a good
know.
guy? I don't know. We know he wants kids. That's it. That's all we know about
Yeah,
Mike.
and that's the thing that was so strange is that it's like, they're both very charismatic, funny people, and like they both said we talked about so much more. So
Yeah.
I really don't understand why that was. I mean, just from a viewer standpoint, like it was boring to watch because it's like, really, this is all we're talking about when
The
in
same
reality, that's
conversation over and
not.
over again. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not what was actually happening behind the scenes. So I wish that they would have shown more of their whole dynamic and their whole
Yeah.
story because it definitely was not the end all be all of the relationship.
And I don't understand what, well, it seems like they didn't date after, but I don't really understand why, because they had agreed that they were going to, unless I guess he's mad because she said yes at the altar and he was mad that she did that in front of his friends and family. So again, I still feel like you had enough of a relationship to have a more of a conversation here. I just find this odd. It just really felt like
Yeah.
there could have been more done here. I don't know. Like I would have expected them to date after because I get that she couldn't decide yet if she wanted kids, but maybe give
Right.
her a few months, 6 months, right? Like
Yeah.
a little bit longer.
I know. I mean, in my understanding, I think that he felt blindsided by the yes. And I
Yeah.
think that he felt like she was trying to make him look bad. I think that's what
Yeah.
he felt maybe. Yeah, it's just because they had had the conversation of both saying no. Again, I don't know why we're saying we're going to say no and going down to the altar, but
So weird.
I think they had agreed. Yeah, I think they had already talked about that. And so I think that he felt a little blindsided. And so I think that's maybe where, if you're sensing like, oh, he was mad, I think maybe he was just a little bit like, what the hell is that? You know what I mean?
But then she didn't want to like pick up the phone and maybe send a text and be like, "Hey, are we good?" Like I'm just
No,
confused.
I don't know. I mean, I think that they have talked since then, but like, I really honestly don't know.
Maybe they cut that out because I know that they like filmed this for like hours and hours and stuff. But yeah, it really felt like there were some questions left. And like in all fairness, you can't get to everything. And like I still do think that Nick and Vanessa did a pretty good job at getting to like the core of most things, except for one thing, but we'll get to that soon. Okay. Oh, and then he has a new girlfriend, right? So they've been together for 7 months and you met her. Is she nice?
Oh my gosh, can I say something about her?
Yeah.
She was my bathroom buddy. So I was wearing this dress that was very tight and it had like I had a corset thing underneath, like almost like Spanx, but more like a corset.
Yeah.
She was so sweet. She like came into the like I mean they're these portable outside bathrooms. They're not even like real bathrooms. They're like outside the stage. And so she came with me and like we were just like fast friends. Like she is so lovely. She is so fun.
No.
Her and Mike are adorable together. We all went to the aquarium together after filming. Like they are a very sweet couple, and I really genuinely like her.
Oh, that's so amazing. Well, good for him. Again, he's happy. That's all that matters, right?
Really cute too, because she was like, I was kind of nervous, like coming here because obviously he's not with her. He's backstage and
Yeah.
nervous that like people weren't going to be nice. And she's like, but you guys are all so nice, and we're like, yeah, we're just people too. Like
Yeah.
she was lovely, so I'm very very happy for them.
They did pan to Emma though when they like showed Mike's girlfriend. And so she looked a little down. That was a little hard. I hate that they kind of, put the spotlight on her, but it makes sense. But
I
she's
don't think
working on herself. She seems good and happy. So,
Yeah, Emma's doing great. I mean, seriously, I don't think that she's upset about it at all. I think it was just honestly, they may have panned to her, but I think that was from like a different moment because in that moment she was smiling. Like when we were
oh,
sitting,
okay.
Yeah, that was definitely an
Interesting.
edit. Because we were sitting there and they like said, "Oh, Mike, your girlfriend." Emma was like like happy and smiling. So that was definitely not what was happening in her mind. I mean,
Interesting.
she's very
I,
happy for him. Emma's doing great.
I watched it 3 times and they definitely, she was giving like a, like, oh, so
Yeah.
that's so interesting. They probably put
From a
that in from a
different
different
moment.
moment. That's so
Yeah.
crazy.
Because she literally was like smiling and was like, "Yay." Like she was like, they've never met, but like
Yeah.
she was, yeah, she had no feeling about it. She was not upset.
Interesting. Loving at it. Okay. Ashley and Alex. Oh, this man, we've also had fun with him on the internet. I mean,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on this man?
I don't know that I have a good grasp on him. I don't
Well,
think
I think
anybody.
that's what he's trying to do, right? He's trying to keep us all up in the air with
It's a
his
little
juggling
slippery.
act. But he
Yeah.
almost kind of scared, like he almost was like putting Nick in his place because Nick was trying to like, do his job and be like, so what's the deal with all these different stories? He's like, can you be specific? And it's like, do not talk to Mr. Nick Lachey like that. Okay.
I know. I
Founder,
think
co-founder of Love is Blind.
truly, I'm like, I think Alex is a little bit of a little slippery thing. I really
Yes.
don't know what.
Snake.
Yeah, I mean, you said it, not me, but I definitely
What do
think
I
he's a
care?
little, like, but here's the thing too. Like, we all went to the club after filming, and like, I met him. Somehow, I found
Oh no, you
myself.
like him now.
No, no, no. It's
Okay.
not that I like him now. No. But it's like, I was like, how are you? He's like, I'm good. I'm like, where are you now?
I know, right? Sleeping on a park bench tonight. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I think is in Arizona now, but my friend that was coming to the filming was like, Alex is on my flight from Denver. So he was on the flight from Denver to the pod. So is he in Denver now? I don't know. But anyways, I met him. I thought that he was nice enough in person. I only talked to him for like, 10 seconds, but
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. I really don't feel like anybody knows Alex. Is that even his real name?
it's Alec.
Oh, Alex.
Alec Henderson is his real name. But he announced this himself, apparently. Like, yeah, it was all over the internet, but like he started a podcast, as you know, men are wont to do. And he started a podcast and like told the story about it. But like, it is interesting considering you were in like professional sports that you would want to change your name. It is odd that you are not only are you changing your name, but also like don't really have an address. That gives shifty guy. I mean, it just does.
Slippery, slippery.
I don't know. Do you believe him when he said that like he didn't lie about anything, there was no cheating, no overlap, or any of that? Honestly, that whole story for me was so confusing to begin with.
No, that's what I mean. I feel like I don't even know what is happening. Like
Right?
I really don't, like at all. I'm like I don't understand exactly who he is. I don't really understand all the stories. Like
I
his
think he
mom
definitely lied about where he flew into the pods from because
was,
Priyanka said it. He said, where is she from again? Austin. And he told, what's the other one's name? Ashley. He told Ashley Cleveland, right? So he definitely lied about that. And then, like she said, there was something that he brought up on camera where he's like, oh, I didn't tell you the truth because I didn't want you to ask more questions, right? So I don't know. Like, I don't know. I really do think like people like this, like him and Devonte, who are so specific on what they're looking for in terms of looks, should not be coming on a show called Love is Blind. Like, I get it's an opportunity and all this stuff, but like Ashley is objectively like beautiful. Like, it's so bizarre for someone to not be attracted to her, like
so
objectively,
that was
right? Like,
insane to me. I mean, yeah, she is like conventionally hot. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
exactly. That's what I always talk about people who are like conventionally hot and subjectively
Yeah,
hot. Yeah, totally.
yeah, yeah. It was bizarre. I was just so confused by that, like, because I was in Mexico and he's like, oh, I'm usually more attracted to like, what? Okay, fine, that's fine, but like, don't say it. Like, can these men just like have inside thoughts? Like, it's okay to have an inside thought, and I
I don't need
think
to
the
know
men
all the
of
things
Love
you've
is
ever
Blind,
been interested in sexually, right? Like
seriously,
it's
like the men of
fine.
Love is Blind need to learn inside thought etiquette. That's what I think.
I totally agree. And like there's just some like definitely we want to know your thoughts, but like we don't need to know all of them. It was just like so unnecessary. What did you think of her like, cutting him off at the helm at the altar and just kind of saying her piece? Like I get her wanting to do her girl thing. A lot of the internet thought it was kind of cringy. But like I don't know, because she knew he was gonna say no, right? So like she wanted, I get the concept of like, obviously you don't want to be embarrassed up there. So you want to be able to say your thing and walk away. Like, I'm sure that's like the ideal situation.
I
Again,
guess
I don't know why they went up there.
I don't either. I don't either. But I don't know that it was necessarily cringy, but it was definitely kind of like I'm gonna have my moment, you
Yeah,
know? But seeing the way that her dad acts and seeing the way that her family is, I think that is just in her blood. I think that they're
strong.
very forthcoming people. I think they're very like take the bull by the horns and yeah, she definitely did and she said what she needed to say and I mean yeah, I think it would suck to stand up there and have somebody say no. So if you need to get out there first, then do it, sister.
Yeah. No, honestly, it's smart. I think I probably would have done the same. Yeah, I would have done the same. Like, I love to have the last word. It feels so good if at least you can, you know? And then
Yes.
he said on the Viall Files yesterday, he said that the reason he didn't shave and like just kind of look like shit is because he was saving it for his real wife. And it's like, you couldn't shave for this? Like, are you serious? I couldn't be bothered.
Oh,
Like, I get what you're saying, right? About wanting to put on a wedding dress for the first time of like, the person that you're actually gonna marry, but like you can't get a
yeah.
haircut. You can't get a haircut.
Wow. I mean, that to me just speaks volumes as far as like you really don't respect or give a
Yeah.
shit about the whole thing. That's shady as hell. I did not know that.
And then you have like Vanessa like trying to be like a little mother hen to him and just trying to talk to him about like, you always seem to come off as like you need to be perfect and always have the answers to things. And like, I just want to like encourage you to like let your guard down and all of that. And like, what did you think about him like not being able to like even just take in like some advice that's like just gets so defensive, I feel like, I thought that was actually really nice of Vanessa just to give him a little bit of advice that wasn't aggressive in any way, you know?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wish that he would have just been like, okay, thanks.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
people performative, like go ahead and perform right now, I guess. Like yeah, I don't really understand that. I feel like if Nick and Vanessa were giving me advice, I mean, Vanessa did give us advice at the dress shop and like she came and sat next to us and like we talked about things really in depth and like I think when people that have done this for so long are giving you a nugget of information, like maybe take it to heart, you know?
Yeah, it seemed like he couldn't. I don't know, maybe in his life, like people don't really question him really. And like he seemed like very defensive all the time with everybody around him, right? Like, yeah, the dad was a lot, but it was just a dad doing a dad thing. Like it wasn't, like there was no reason to be like mad about it. Like,
Oh,
okay. And you don't need to have all the answers. You can say, I don't know, or I don't
they were
remember. Like, it's
funny,
okay.
Yeah, like I thought that they were so funny. And like I think that, her dad was also kind of like teasing him, like trying to play
Yeah.
around with him. And Alex was taking it so seriously and like, yeah, was totally like on about the answers. And I think that I I kind of loved her dad because I thought her dad kind of at one point was like, all right, I guess we're just gonna lean into this whole interrogation, you know? Like it was
Yeah.
really funny. And I wish that Alex would have just kind of relaxed and, just thought like these are just people too and just talk to them. Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, like, reality TV is hard for everybody, as you know. And like, I think it's an interesting way he got through the season, which was just to be like super defensive, but also just, I mean, you got to commend him, I guess, for being very strong in like his compositions and like what he's thinking and what he wants to do. But like, yeah, he seemed to see everything as almost like a game or soccer. And did you even notice like when Nick asked him like to describe this marriage in like soccer terms, he was like elated, like his face lit up. He's like, "Oh my God, I'd love to. Thank you so much for asking." Okay, so you got the goal, you got the this, you got the like two. Oh my God.
That's
Wait, do you
so
play
funny.
soccer?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I was sitting in the room and I don't even remember this. Like I think I like blanked that
Blacked.
out because I like yeah, I like blacked out. My brain blitzed me because I do not remember that at all. Like
So funny. No, but this is why I watch everything three times and people tell me, "Oh my God, Dana, you can't do that." And I do it for like this job, right? So I watch once for fun slash memes. No, wait, once for fun, once for memes, once to make notes, right? Because you really will miss so many things. But like, I'll watch this three times and then you pick up on something. Oh, and like Alex is living in Arizona with Devontae, so we got that interesting news too. But yeah, I guess that all goes with like the pod squad
yeah,
mentality of like we all become friends after this and
Truly, I mean, it's like me and Kate are like best friends, right? So it's
Right.
like just you never know who you're gonna get out of it and how and why and what, but it's definitely an interesting, yeah, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. The
Yeah.
best thing I can relate it to is almost like sororities and fraternities, but like
Yeah.
even then it's a
But
very,
in a
very
different
different.
way. And it's even better than The Bachelor because all those girls usually end up becoming friends, but they were always going after the same guy, and that's not the situation with you guys necessarily. So at least you can form friendships from like almost like a pure place than
Yeah,
as opposed
no,
to
it's
all
totally
being into
different.
the same guy.
Yes, exactly. Very, very different dynamics for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
we have our last couple, Devonte and Brittany. I actually likened them the most to you and Joe, and I don't mean you, I mean more so Joe in the fact that the dishonesty, right? And with Joe, it was in a more like panicky type of way, I felt like he seemed like more erratic about things, while Devonte was just like straight up like lying, I feel like, and just I don't know, like the way the whole thing was portrayed was like she comes off like super delusional and desperate and stuff. And we get a lot of clarification from her here that like, no, like I cannot believe that like okay, sorry. Like someone just say about this. First of all, I everybody was convinced that after they ended things on the couch or ended like the wedding, that she would never see him again. So were you surprised that they even had any conversation slash him saying like a week later, like, no, I want to be in a relationship with you. That was
Yeah,
wild.
surprising to me. It's very surprising. It's also very hard, right? Because it's like you go through this with somebody, there's nobody else that understands the relationship that you went through, like the
Yeah.
person that you went through it with. So it's almost like a trauma bond a little bit. And I wonder if maybe he was trying to like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand why you would end it like that and then act like you're gonna try again. But I mean, it's like Joe and I, when we ended, I thought that was gonna be the end of it. And then we ended up, getting dinner and like ended up making out by my car and he
Right.
cried and it was like, very confusing, right? And so I think that it just shows like there's just a lot of weird emotions happening and even people are messy, right? Like there's not
Yeah, no,
any
you're right. You're
hard
right.
and fast
I
way
guess
about
just
it.
like when we saw him talk to producers afterwards, because he's telling her, we are good. I just need to like figure some stuff out. But then he's telling producers she's a shadow. And like normally I try to like get out of this. So like, oh, and the whole thing about the dress, she did make a really good point that like he knew in the pods that I had already bought a dress pre this. So if he had an issue with that, he should have like left me alone. And I agree, right? Like we can't decide that that's creepy 2 months later.
No, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. And I think Brittany is lovely. I think her family is lovely. And like, I just wish that he would have been more forthcoming. I
Yeah.
think we really started to see the mask slip in Mexico. Like, I
Hmm.
actually had to walk away from the TV at one point because it made me feel that again of like,
It
you
did.
can a little bit. I mean, you can feel when somebody's disconnecting from you. And it really hurts when like you just need an answer and it's like we're adults, use your words. And I felt for her because, she is trying to connect. And I get what you mean as far as like the liking of Joe and I to this because I definitely was trying to connect, trying to pull him in. And I think that's what she was trying to do as well. And it's like
Yeah.
frustrating and it's hard to watch when you see this person just kind of dismissive, right? And we saw the same thing at my Mexico scene. And so it was like, God, like I felt for her and I wish that he would have just used her words, or his words.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think like I don't know where I saw it or if it was on the reunion or I saw it somewhere else or in an interview or something, but like he's not trying to hurt people. He's just really hard. It's really, yeah, I think it was on the reunion where he said he struggles with being direct and but like I actually kind of love that Vanessa was like, okay, I'm gonna use the word gaslighting because it is a word that's overused now. Like I'll
Mhm.
totally agree. Or like it's a fun word. We love to use it. But yeah, we do overuse it. But then, she defines it and then she talks to him about what he was doing. And yeah, it definitely did come off that way because it was like, okay, during that time, you also lied to her about going on this work trip. You went on a trip with like other people from the show who are obviously going to tell you like that this happened. It's just so bizarre. And that whole trip, it's just, yeah, the whole concept of this thing was so weird. So they all go to like, where was it, Austin or Arizona or something for like a
Austin.
concert. But like, what I thought was mostly odd about it was like if you girls are all such close friends, like you wouldn't even if the whole group is friends, you still wouldn't call your girl and be like, "Hey, are you okay with like your ex coming on vacation with us?" And that's when you'd find out that she thinks that they are still together.
Right. Yeah, I honestly couldn't even totally follow that whole thing. Like I was sitting right, so
Confusing.
Priyanka and Alyssa were sitting right next to us, like at the table. And like so we were getting, their feedback, which they're both really sweet. And Priyanka was like, dude, that's not like what happened, or like that's not what our intention was. And like I felt for Priyanka sitting there because like she's like, God, they're painting this out to be like we're mean girls, and like that's not even what happened. And so I don't know. I mean, it sounded to me like he was going to come to the concert. I'm not sure who invited him, but then he like invited himself to Priyanka's house, and Priyanka was like,
Yeah.
"No, this is a girls' trip. Like I don't want you staying with me." And so I think that there was a lot like left in translation, and I think it's hard. It's so hard. I
I
go back to the
know.
dynamics of it because, it's like some of my friends from the show are friends with Joe. And it's like, I can't be angry at that. Like that's just the reality of this. We all form different relationships with different people. And like we click with different people in different ways. And so I think I think that maybe Brittany had a little bit of misplaced anger in that just because you have to be conscious of the fact that everybody has different relationships in different ways because we're all different people, right? But I
Yeah.
think that he did lie, and I think that that was very strange and shady behavior. If they were together, why didn't they like go together?
I mean, there's just so much shady shit about this guy on the internet. Like,
Yeah.
since then, he like was dating someone, then cheated on her, and she had two kids. And then he said some nasty stuff about her on the internet. And now he's engaged to somebody else and is having a
With a
kid with
baby on
her.
the way.
So
Yeah.
that's crazy. And poor Brittany finding that out in the moment.
Oh my
And
God.
that whole thing is confusing too, because it's like, wait, where do you live, right? Are you living in Arizona with Alex,
Yeah.
or are you going to live in Chicago with this girl, right? He's like, I
Oh,
have a house there. It's like,
Chicago.
yeah. Or sorry, where are these people? Cleveland,
Okay.
Ohio.
Okay.
I forget where
I
we
was like,
are.
whoa, what?
Another C word.
Alex
So
2.0.
where do you live with her, right? Like, what are you talking about? So, and apparently he's been like engaged before that too. So he's been engaged like three times. He just loves being engaged.
Going
So I don't really know. I think, I think he's a guy that doesn't really, like he said, he's not good at being direct. So I think he just continues relationships until I don't know until he can
So there's a baby on the
find it
way. I
out.
mean, dang. Yeah, everybody was so shocked by that. Like, I remember looking at Priyanka and I was like, oh, wow, like, did you know that? And she was like, no. Like,
That
none
is
of them knew.
wild. Okay, so how does
Yeah.
that all work? Do you have to sign an NDA when you get there or something?
Oh, so we signed an NDA before we go.
Okay.
Like we were not allowed to like post, like geotag, it's just very like hush hush. Don't post anything. I mean, like don't post anything that you're going to the reunion, right? You can post like
Because there's
normal.
always leaks, though, right? I mean, last year, or is the room always just you guys, or are there, no, there's other fans, there's other people, right? Like, there's podcasters. I remember Chris Burns was in the audience last year. He's like a podcaster, but
Oh,
works for Netflix. But like,
no,
there's
this
other
year,
people.
no, this year the
No,
audience was only
closed.
alum. Hmm.
So someone leaked a lot, or someone's.
Oh,
We
really?
knew most of these things. I mean, yeah, we knew about Devontae. We knew about Amber and Jordan.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but the internet does its thing.
Wow, I wonder. I mean, it's hard, right? You get 150 ex-reality people in a room, like
And tell
we
them to keep their
all
mouths
have big
shut.
mouths. Yeah, exactly. We all have
It's
big
like you're
mouths.
telling us to
We
do
all
the
have
opposite of
cameras.
our jobs. What are you saying?
Literally, like that is so funny. I mean, news gets out.
Yeah. Overall thoughts on the season and just like, yeah, what do you think of this season? Do you think it was a good one? Do you think it was better than yours? Do you think that it could have improved in any ways?
I think every season is so interesting because it's like every city brings a different flavor, and like every you throw a bunch of big personalities into a room and it's just you never know what you're going to get. And so
Yeah.
I think that this season was definitely very entertaining from a viewer's perspective. I think that, like I said at the beginning, we got the gambit of people that go on reality shows, right? From the
Yeah.
Vic and Christines to the Chris's and Alex. And it's like really interesting to see how that all came together. And it's like
Yeah.
overall, I wish this whole cast the best. Like I know that but this is a very intense process and it gets harder before it gets easier. And I'm just excited to see how everybody turns out. I'm hopeful that Bree and Connor work out. I'm excited for Vic and Christine, of
No.
course. Um, yeah, I think it was a good season.
Yeah, for sure. Well, do you have anything coming up that you want to share, or where can people find you if they want to follow you and see what you have going on?
Yes, well, you guys can find me at Madison VM on Instagram and TikTok. And as far as projects coming up, I am going to be filming a Beacon story for the Foundation Fighting Blindness. They're doing a kind of hero
Amazing.
story on me. So I'll be filming that this weekend and this following week. The production team comes out. So keep an eye out for that. It'll be really cool.
Keep an eye.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, Madison. I appreciate you being here.
Yes, thank you so much, Dana. This was so much fun.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Bravo Investigator podcast. For more content, head over to patreon.com/the Bravo Investigator podcast. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at the Bravo Investigator. If you enjoyed the show, leave a 5-star review. Love you, BB. See you next time.